Hi, everyone. I just wanted to kind of come back on and talk about New Year's resolutions again, all by myself. And the last episode, Coach Lane and I talked about some strategies to be successful with New Year's resolutions. And somebody wrote in to me, and I think pretty validly said, since I've uh, been reading your devotional, I just think that the reason I've been successful this time is because of God. And that podcast didn't mention God. And I thought, dang, she's right. And I wanted to share some thoughts on this matter because the reality is, I definitely would not have been successful in my alcohol-free walk if it was not for Jesus and my faith and walking side by side, step with him. I would not be where I am today. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be alive today without Jesus because there was definitely a time in my life where I had lost my will to live. And only because of my faith did I walk a path, one foot in front of the other, trusting that God had a better plan. But therein lies the reason for the devotional, which is called The Plans He Has for Me, because I truly believe in my heart that God has a much better plan for all of us as we remove toxic substances from our life. And I want to share a study. Let me see if I can find it on my computer. It is from the National Library of Medicine, and the article is called Belief, Behavior, and Belonging: How Faith is Indispensable in Preventing and Recovering from Substance Abuse. And so I'm just going to read a quote. While the negative experiences with religion have been a contributory factor to substance abuse among some victims, given that more than 84% of scientific studies show that faith is a positive factor in addiction prevention and recovery, and it's a risk in less than 2% of the studies reviewed, we conclude that the value of faith oriented approaches to substance abuse prevention and recovery is indisputable. 84%. And that is how AA was started, right? It was faith-based. Now it's like look to your higher power, and it could be a doorknob, create your own higher power. I'm just here to say, as far as I'm concerned, there's only one God that I follow, and it's a triune God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. So anyway, I want to take a new approach to the old podcast and just tell you how faith works into making your New Year's resolution and why I believe it is so critical to succeeding and having God be a part of it. Um, so let's begin. First of all, I just, we're at the end of the year. Maybe we're just about to enter into the holidays, and we really want to put this thing to the side. Um, what do we have to do? One is, I think, look to God. Two, of course, I believe you should get the devotional, The Plans He Has for Me. And you can go to www.theplansehasforme.com, and you can purchase the book on 3 various platforms and download some free resources. And once you have that devotional, you get access to private Facebook group with other people taking the same challenge. And I'm in there trying to respond to every single post that's made in there. It's still a manageable group, and I love being active in there. And as I venture into creating a program for faith-based organizations, counselors, and coaches. That's my way of giving back and helping people um, stay the course. So that's my challenge to you. But anyway, how do we make sure that we can stay the path and take the challenge, whether it's, 30 days, which I know a lot of people do dry January. It's my opinion and probably statistically valid that you are detoxing your body over the 31 days, but you have not really done enough work to change your relationship with alcohol, or what I say, renew your mind. And so, the first thing that we need to see this commitment to the end is 100% all in. And because when we go 99%, 1%, of doubt, this is where the enemy goes, "Oh, I see the opening. I see the opening, and I'm going to have some conversations with this person because they're allowing me to have it." And I always like to go to Genesis, and what the serpent did in the garden to try and give you some idea of how Satan works when we have that 1% door open. And um, God told Adam and Eve basically that they could eat any tree in the garden except for the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And he said, if you should eat that, you're going to die. And so the serpent starts challenging them. In Genesis 3, Satan says to the woman, "Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden?" And Eve's response is she's pretty confident. She knows what God said. She knows what she's supposed to do. And she kind of repeats it, and says, "No, we're not supposed to eat fruit from the tree that's in the middle of the garden. Or we will die." She actually adds something, but that's irrelevant. She says, "Or you must not touch it, or you will die." I don't think God said that, so she flubbed up a little, or added to the story a little. But the fact is that she absolutely understood God's instruction, and she repeated it confidently to the serpent. But what was his response? "You will not surely die," the serpent said to the woman, "for God knows that when you eat it, and your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." So that today is called gaslighting, right? Surely you won't die. And this is how that 1% works, right? You leave the opening, the enemy finds it, he starts having conversations. Surely one won't hurt. Oh, doesn't that wine look amazing? No one will know if you have just one, right? That's the difference between 100% all in and 99. 99 is brutal, absolutely brutal. And I know I've quit drinking, what seems like hundreds of times in my life. I've quit smoking cigarettes hundreds of times, or what seems like hundreds of times in my life. And sometimes it was easy and sometimes it was hard. And I think that's the difference, 99 versus 100. So that's just go in with saying, I am taking this challenge, whether it's dry January or the 12 weeks, hopefully. And you're taking the challenge, you're all in, 100% all in. I want to see what's possible, which kind of leads to the next. The next part of the strategy, which is staying future focused. And of course, back to the name of the devotional, it was the plans he has for me. This is based on Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Dang, what one of us doesn't want that opportunity? But we cannot see that plan unfold when we are in the midst of serving the God called alcohol or another substance or another activity for that matter. We we deprive ourselves of allowing God to have a grip on our life and have the Holy Spirit really guide us. And so, future focused is like, what's possible? What's possible if I'm sleeping better? What's possible if I feel better? What's possible if I have more productivity? What's possible when my relationships are more connected? And having that vision of yourself, what's possible if you shift your time from drinking, recovering from drinking, consuming thoughts about how to quit drinking? What happens if you take all that time and you redirect it towards some talent and gift that God gave you and start using that? Because that's what creates true joy in our life. So, number one, 100% all in. How do we keep motivated? We stay future focused and we understand that God has a better plan and we continue to walk that path. Then there's the practical part of it. Plan ahead. What are you going to be drinking? You know, we can't show up not not prepared for the strategies of the devil. We cannot show up. So we have to plan in advance to bring whatever we want to have fun with, whether that's your own mocktail or some people like the alcohol free beers. I'm not a big fan of that at the front end because I think um, it just is too much of a trigger, but for some it works. So I don't want to be kind of legalistic about what you should bring for a mocktail, but the point is know exactly what you're going to order or bring what you want to drink. I think planning ahead um, gives you the intention, uh, allows you to be intentional and keep that 100% all in. Like you're not giving yourself any excuses or wiggle room. In your mind, you're committed. You've already planned what you're going to drink. And the reasons are, God has a better plan and you committed to 12 weeks to understand what that could be. Accountability. And this is, I don't know if I have the verse for this, but bringing what is in the darkness into the light is such a relief. A lot of people, I talk to a lot of people that are in the 12 step or have been through the 12 step process. And one of the things I kind of struggle with is like identify character defects. But a lot of people go, oh my gosh, I love that step. And I'm like, tell me more. But when I find out about why that was so freeing for people, they tell me like I was able to share with people what I did, and it was bringing, like, what's in the darkness inside of you, causing you shame out, and having somebody listen to that and not judge you. Um, I've kind of done a lot of thinking about this too. I didn't I don't have to tell people all my dirty laundry in order to understand that I'm just a sinner, but I do rely on our Father's forgiveness, what Jesus did on the cross to allow me to kind of cleanse myself of that any shame or guilt. It's just really believing and knowing and understanding that God truly forgives us. um, the Apostle Paul, who wrote most of the books of the New Testament, he was a murderer of Christians. before he was converted. And if God can forgive that, I think he can forgive you, me, and anyone. And understanding that truth allows us to just be cleansed and relieved and be able to look forward to the future. So next is create accountability. And this is about bringing what's in the darkness into the light. Telling people, and you don't have to be sad about it. You don't have to, oh, I got to quit drinking. Oh, it's you took a challenge. And so just tell the person you're going with, the host, or, come into the Facebook group and say, I'm going to this party and I'm going to come out the other side, uh, not having drunk, but just getting out of your head where you can have these conversations with yourself, and talk yourself out of it. Understand that God is going in there with you. He is side by side. He is rooting you on. And so get what's in the darkness in your mind out and share with somebody. Share on Facebook, share with a friend, share with your spouse, whoever you need to share with, so that you're going to come out the other side well. Um, Develop your elevator speech is uh, the fourth thing that I recommend, because people get super stuck or scared when people are asking you why you're not having a drink. So maybe they're like, "Well, why aren't you drinking?" "Oh, I'm taking a challenge." Or, I guess it's super cool to say it's dry January in January. You might have to think about something different in February. I always recommend, like, I'm taking a challenge. I did dry January. I'm feeling so great. I want to keep going. And chances are people will not, you know, try and mess with you, especially if you're excited about what you're doing. And again, if you go to www.theplans.he.has.for.me.com, I have, under the free resources, some flashcards, 20 different things that you can say that might be applicable to your situation about why you're not drinking. And so just practice your elevator speech and make sure it's confident. Um, because people don't mess with you when it's confident, when you deliver a confident message. If you feel like a victim to not drinking, people are going to say, "Oh man, that doesn't seem like fun. Here, have one." So, elevator speech is fun. Remember, when we are walking with the Holy Spirit, we're showing His light in our confidence. And so I think that's a good strategy as well. And so I'm going to summarize what we went through. Being all in, 100% all in, future focused, knowing God has a plan, wondering what could be possible, developing a vision for yourself if you're sleeping better, if you're um, feeling better, if you're more productive, if you're healthier, you start jogging, walking, your relationships, your connection with God, everything gets better. And just you have to go, what's possible? And you'll get there faster than you think. Planning ahead, not being surprised if people offer you something or a glass of wine, or even pour you something and hand you the beer. No, thank you. I've got mine, whatever you're drinking. Creating accountability, getting out of your head, and developing your elevator speech. And one thing that I've developed for people in the program, is something I call the LIE acronym. So LIE is look, intercept, explore. Oh, and by the way, on my website under free resources, you can download more about this too. There's an article. But it's look at the story you're telling yourself and identify its false nature. This is the story in the garden. This is where the enemy is going to try and find the crack in the system. So, remembering whatever story you're telling yourself is false. Intercept that thought with a vision of your future self, the one that God created you to be. And then explore alternative activities or actions until the craving goes away. It does go away, I promise. There are many people who have done this before you. And I know it looks, if you haven't started, I know it seems like a big mountain to climb, but you have to trust the people on the other side of this, that God does have a much better plan, that it is better on this side of it. So, if you have any questions, you want to connect, come in through Facebook. I'm there. I look forward to seeing you there as well. And until next time, Happy New Year.